Hello people, this is second video of question time. This is I must admit there's a lot more questions in here this time around that I'm not 100% with, but A is my view. So here we go. Question number one.
Is terror the part and parcel of modern Britain? Is terror
No, it shouldn't be. It's a simple answer. The reason it is because our government plays a, I don't know if it's a political game or whatever it is, but when you've got a government that is allowing these terrorists, which I hate calling them because we've got rules for that in this country. You know, if you go out and kill someone, you're a murderer. You're not a terrorist, you're a murderer. If you go out and kill more than one person, you're just, I don't know, a serial murderer. You know, it's just wrong with the way the media and the government are allowing them to report the justification. You know, these nut jobs uses a faith to manipulate and say that it's just to go around killing innocent people. Is not. And you know, the more the media and the government allows this justification that they spread throughout the world that they're doing it for their people, it's just a complete joke. You know? I'm sorry people, but at the end of the day, these groups actually kills more Muslims than any other group. So how can British Muslims think that they're for Muslims? I don't know. I really don't know how they can. And no, it is not a part of life now in the West. It shouldn't be a part of life in the West. If governments actually stopped manipulating, I can't help but think it's the government that wants us to be scared, because if we're scared, we're too busy to ask questions. We're too busy to look into the answers if they're true or not. You know, a scared population is an easy population to govern. And that's what the government's playing here. It's a nasty game. And I tell everyone, don't listen to the media, look for yourself. You know, we've never had a time where we've had so much freedom to be able to look things up on the internet. And yeah, some of it may not be true, but the thing with the internet, if you do enough searches, the truth always keeps coming back and the lies disappears. So you won't get multiple lies on multiple websites over and over, because it's a lie. The truth is always coming back, and that's what people's got to do. But no, I don't think it should be, and I think allowing the terrorists to justify their actions is just wrong, because once you go beyond that point of killing people, your view, your policy, your ideology is just not valid anymore. If you wanna change things, then you do it peacefully. You know, you get an agreement. You don't just go around killing people. These terror groups basically are made up with countries' worst type of criminals. You know, and we've all heard the stories about them marrying children and having kids with children. It's just disgusting. And then you get criminals who going over there thinking that they're good. Yeah, no. It shouldn't be part of the Western culture anymore. And governments should start putting their foot down and telling the truth, that they are not some type of special people, that they're just murderers, and they will be sent to prison if they're not killed. You know, just like any other murderer would in this country. You know, and the other thing that's going around now is, oh well, should police get armed? Well, at the end of the day, the more guns that's out there, the more chance that these criminals are going to want to get those guns. Because, you know, unlike in mainland Europe, all he had was a knife. And that was enough to take a few lives and use his car to take a few lives. But, you know, it could have been 10 times worse if he had a gun. And he didn't. And I don't think we should go down that road of putting more guns on the street. Even though the police will have them, I just don't think that's the right path to take. And you know, maybe tasers, maybe all around sensitive buildings, they should have tasers. Because if that cop did have a taser on him, he would be alive today. And that criminal would be behind bars. And he wouldn't be dead. He wouldn't be worshipped by the terrorists because he's dead. You know, well, not that they even do that. They don't do anything like that. It's just all propaganda, isn't it? I bet they laugh their heads off. All the West Muslims killing themselves because of a ideology which is only designed so they can keep power and control. So no, I don't agree that it's a part of life now. It shouldn't be, and we should fight against it and work together as one to fight against it. Because it's just wrong to blame one part. You know, we all say that it's wrong to paint some people with all the people with the same brush. We don't like it as individuals, so we shouldn't do it to a complete group. It's wrong. Right, I'll go on to question number 2 now. Yeah, question number 2 now. Just getting it up. Question number 2.
Will the Welsh economy cope when the EU funding and subsidies stop? How?
Well, kind of like, I think there's going to be a hell of a shock when the EU funding stops for the United Kingdom, to be honest. Because the problem with the funding is it's done in a process. So the process is all behind closed doors. So, you know, the government has probably done a complete finding of all the money that goes in and out. But because obviously we've got a lot of Brexiters within government now, they're controlling what is released and what's not. I do not believe for 1 second, people, that they haven't done a forecast. I bet the forecast they done in Westminster shows clearly that the UK is going to be hit very hard, and they did not want to release that because it's negative. And the problem with negativity is it breeds more negativity. So I'm afraid to say, yeah, Wales will suffer, but so would England, and so will Northern Ireland, and so will Scotland if they don't leave for independence, which I hope they don't, because it's better to stay as. Like I said, the arguments you can make for each country within the UK to leave, you can make for the same argument for the EU, really. I think it's a massive, massive chaos leaving the EU, and it ain't going to make us safe, because it's going to fragment countries back to the 1920s, independent countries, where countries don't bother really talking to each other, and they start guessworking of what each country is doing, and it creates conflict. Well, first it creates disagreements, and then over years, if those disagreements ain't sorted out, it escalates to higher and higher until it gets to the point where both countries are building up their army to go to war. That's the way I see it, anyway. So I'm afraid the question to that answer, from my point of view, is yeah, it's going to be tough. And get prepared for it. Basically, get yourself camping equipment so you don't have to use your home gas. That's how bad I think it's going to get. I've got my back camping stuff. You know, you've prepaid for it. You know that you've got it now. You know it lasts. The gas can last for ages. But yeah, I just don't agree with it, and I think the United Kingdom's going to take a big hit, and the markets are going to take a big hit, and I could see a financial crash happening if the markets pushes either the pound too far or the euro too far. And the country that will make the most money out of that is probably the United States of America, because they will be gambling. You will get groups gambling on both sides who's going to get the better deal, and whoever gets the better deal, that side would probably make billions of pounds. And the ones that loses out on this isn't well, the ones that loses out on this is the two involved. So both the euro and the pound will take a massive hit. I'll move on to the next question now. So number 3 now. Here we go.
To families of victims murdered by Martin McGuinness to him so much praise.
Martin McGuinness passed away. This is a complex question, but I think to a degree he's levelled out, basically. You know, I think it's fair to say what he did in his younger life, he really believed he was doing the right thing, and he probably, well, it is stated that he did take life. But, you know, obviously there's been people saying, well, you can't put him on the same stage as like Mandela or anything like that, or some of the all-time greats, because, you know, he was locked up, but he come out, but he still went back to what he was doing. So, you know, he still went back to killing. You know, if he would have come out and advocated peace then, he probably wouldn't have got far. So later in his life, I think he deserves all the credit he gets, because at the end of the day, you know, he needed to get his side on side to start talking to the other side, and you know, that is a very hard thing to do when you've got two oppositions that's just hating each other, you know, and that is a very complex and hard thing to get done. And you know, Northern Ireland today is better for that, because no one's fearing anyone, no one's going out to kill anyone. You know, I think he deserves credit for what he's done, and you know, I think towards the end he was just devastated, because I watched that clip with him saying that he can't run, and you could see that he was devastated that he couldn't continue doing what he loved. And you know, yeah, politics and democracy is not an easy thing, but nor is peace. We're seeing it every day in the Western world, how fragile peace is. And to me, it just feels like it's being destroyed at each year, you know. And it's harder to keep peace than it is to just start dropping bombs or blowing things up. And I just hope Northern Ireland can not look past. No, the past is the past. You can't change it, and I think people should look forward and think, well, we want to keep the peace. We don't want to go out fearing for our lives, you know. So yeah, I think it's right to give him credit for what he's done, and maybe not. You know, he's levelled out and he done terrible things, but then he brought peace to his country, and that deserves credit. So I'll move on to the next question now. Next question, number 4.
Full-time job.
Oh, George Osborne, the most useless man ever, Chancellor ever, and let's be honest. 2010. If you can't remember what was said in 2010, go on YouTube, type George Osborne 2010, and I'll tell you what, you will see him on the Houses of Parliament saying, with my plan and my economic credibility, we will pay down the debt by 2016. 2017. Snap, we're in 2017, and the debt has doubled, people. Yeah, let's not call it what it is. It is doubled under George Osborne, and he's been discredited because of the EU vote. Dave Cameron took a massive gamble, like he's been doing since he's been in power. He's been taking gamble after gamble and after gamble, and it didn't pay off with the EU. It got bit because that's what happened with gambling. If you're going to keep gambling and you keep winning, you think you're going to keep winning. And Dave Cameron took the ultimate gamble and he lost everything. And George Osborne lost too, because obviously he was sacked as Chancellor. But has he really lost? Yeah, well, he's lost that power of being Chancellor, but he's still an MP. He's got that job at that BlackRock earning hundreds of thousands a year, and now he's going to be an editor, so he's going to be in charge of a paper while being an MP. How the hell that isn't a conflict of interest, I don't know. You know, one of the main things the media has to do is hold power to account. Now, if you've got an MP that is in government, alright, not being a minister, but he's in government, how the hell is that paper ever going to hold his party and his friends to account? I just don't buy it. It shouldn't be allowed. Or a second job, maybe. But if it's a position of influence on the people, that should be an instant conflict of interest. Because George ain't gonna go writing up on the Tory fraud scandal with the election, is he? It's hard enough to get the normal media to do it. Like Question Time has not even asked that question, and so he's not going to report anything on the Tory party because he's a Tory MP. He's not just a Tory supporter. He's not a media owner. He's actually a Tory MP, and he's in control of a paper now. No, that should not be allowed. And it discredits an MP's job, in my view. It's like, well, hold on a minute, how many other people could hold down that job but then go and do 2 or 3 other jobs? It's not possible. If somebody's working 37 or 40 hours a week, you can't go and get another job. I'm sorry, no, it's wrong. And the diversity of, oh well, it helps if other people, if MPs have got other jobs because it gets them out. No, it makes more money. It's pure greed driven. It's not about getting any experience. Most politicians are in their mid-30s or late 40s. By then, they've already got a lot of experience in their particular field that they were doing. So, no, it's just pure greed driven by Westminster. And like I said, no, it's just wrong. And I'll move on to the next question now, because I find that very irritating that he's allowed to do that and get away with it. He's earning like close to millions now, and it's wrong. He ain't gonna be independent, nowhere near. Right, I'll move on to my next question, number 5.
Wales have a referendum like Scotland. Now we are leaving the EU. So,
well, should Wales have a referendum? Well, I'm sorry, but Wales voted out like England, so there isn't no conflict there, is there really? I would totally understand it if Wales voted the same way as Scotland overwhelmingly to stay in. But for some strange reason, Wales didn't. Wales voted alongside England. So that question is kind of moot in a way. It does lead on to the bigger question, should Wales have their own independence? But, nationalist parties I'm not keen on at all, because what they do is, in one breath, they say we want to unite people, but then in another breath they've got to destroy the old country that they grew up in order to unite their own people. It's a division. Nationalist parties are a division party. You know that they're only willing to unite their own people, and that is a divided, nasty view, in my opinion. If you move on, you could say, well, how could we better unite the United Kingdom? I know that sounds mad, doesn't it? And I think a lot of these nationalist parties uses the rhetoric, all the decisions are made in Westminster. So okay, yeah, you can't disagree with that. Any reasonable person would say, well, yeah, all the major decisions are made in Westminster, in London, and maybe we need to think about, as a country, well, why don't we change that? Instead of having one fixed place where all the decisions are made, why don't we say, right, okay, all the major issues, we will change it. What we will do is every year the main decisions are moved throughout the United Kingdom. So for example, one year would be in England, one year would be in Scotland, one year would be in Wales, one year would be in Northern Ireland. And that would unite the kingdom in a way that I don't think we've ever seen it. And the wealth wouldn't be so dead in the middle of London all the time, because it would be up in, every year one would take a good financial hit with all the people moving up to those areas. I think that's one way of that's one way of countering the nationalist rhetoric of all the decisions are made in London, we don't get listened to. Well, if we move the power so it's always every year it's being moved, that would mean that we would have to build up Scotland, the parliaments at Scotland, the parliaments in Northern Ireland, and the parliaments at Wales, and every year each one gets the powers there, and I think that's one possible view. But I just do not like this referendum independence crap, because it doesn't unite people, it divides people, and then you get barriers put up, and then it just creates a whole lot of other complex things that I don't think it helps humanity at all. Right, I'll move on to the next question. Last one now, I think. I think this is a biggie, innit?
From John Brooke, please. Should the Prime Minister call a general election now? Should the Prime Minister?
The classic general election. Like that man further went on to say, made me laugh. I think if Theresa May did call an election, the Tory will have the biggest mandate they've ever had. Mate, you've been scammed into thinking that. Let's talk about let's talk about this logically. Imagine, I'm just going to use an analogy to start with. So let's just imagine you go to the seaside and you see a gambling machine. And then this guy comes up to you and he says, you know what, that gambling machine's going to pay out thousands. I guarantee you. And he gives you £1,000. Well, basically, you are alright, and I'll give it a go. Because if somebody tells you you're guaranteed to win some money, why wouldn't you do it? From a logical point of view, if you're guaranteed, if he gives you £100 and you say, well, go and play it, you're guaranteed to win money, you're going to do it, aren't you? Now, if we pause this back to politics, every poll is saying that the Tories would win. So Theresa May every day is being told, well, her ratings on the polls are always above Labour and all the other parties. So you've got to question, well, hold on, if Theresa May is getting all these amazing poll ratings and amazing ratings, and the fact that Jeremy Corbyn can't win nothing, and all that crap, why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you say, right, okay, we're going to leave, but first I want to get a proper mandate to leave the EU. I want to get a clear run at it for 5 years. You know, this Tory government we've got now hasn't got a clear 5 years. You know, they've got till 2020, and the negotiations are going to take way longer than that. You know, I think we should have a general election, and I think it's up to each independent party, political party, to go down the road that they want to go down. So we already know the Lib Dems would be for not leaving. That's one vote. People can make up their mind. We keep saying we're patronising people who voted leave. Well, let's stop patronising everyone. Let's say, right, Theresa May, there's no logical reason why she shouldn't call a general election, because based on everything that we're told by the media all the time, even tonight, good old David had a little dig at Jeremy Corbyn again with his shadow person. Yeah, this programme don't stop laying into Jeremy Corbyn. It's only little jabs, but you know, I was surprised. I didn't think there was going to be any tonight, but yeah, they managed to fit one in. But yeah, I really do think that we should. I just think we should have a general election. So then, whatever party gets into power, they would have a clear mandate. They would have a clear 5 years to see Brexit through. Or if enough people vote for parties that didn't want to leave, then I think that would open up another tin of worms. But the Brexiters don't want that, because they know they know people's going to take a big hit, but they're thinking about themselves. I'm sorry, but you can't. You know, democracy is a democracy. The EU at every level has got the government. Each member state has to make a decision on a vote, and to try and make out that the EU is in charge of the single market only. When they brings out a rule, is a rule for every country within the single market. It's not just a decision on the UK. You know, all the rules that applies to the whole EU area, single market area. And I'm afraid, I think the Brexiters made it very. They went on immigration, but they also made sure that all the rules was attacking the UK alone. It wasn't. All the rules applied to all the EU, and I'm sorry, but I just think Theresa May's just proven, by not having a general election, she's proven that she knows more about all these poll ratings than anyone else. I don't listen to the polls, because I truly believe that a lot of them, the Tory party or Tory supporters, are behind, and the Tories knows which ones are true and which ones are in their favour. So they're looking at those true ones, truly independent ones, and they're seeing a completely different story. But obviously the media don't highlight that, and the Tory party ain't going to highlight that. Obviously the Tory party is going to keep going with their poll ratings that gets them the best vote. But I can't see how Theresa May could lose. Based on everything we're told, it don't make logical sense. Why wouldn't a leader, why wouldn't anyone, if you're told, oh yeah, you're going to win easy, you know, the polls are always on your side, why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you want to put your policies to the people and say, look, vote for me? Unless you're not a confident person. And I don't think Theresa May is. It's clear. Theresa May don't think she can win. That's why she ain't calling an election. And that's why she's going to rush this Brexit. Because they want it all done by 2019. And that ain't going to happen, people. We ain't going to get a deal from that. And I think the Brexiters knows that. I think that's why they started saying this no deal is better than a bad deal. But we're all going to take a massive hit, and it's going to be chaos. So yeah. So until next time, people, thanks for watching. If you did like it, if you did like the video, give it a like, because it does help. Until Monday, I believe, because they've got a show on Brexit on Monday, so that's going to be interesting. I can't wait to watch that one. So I'll be posting another video on Tuesday morning, hopefully. And thanks for watching, people. Ta-da.